We've had a Buddhist centre in Manchester for quite a few years, in the suburbs. Buddhist centres shouldn't be in suburbs. People are affected in the suburbs from what happens in the city, where the city council is, where the theatres, the cinemas, the music, where all the culture happens. So if we want to change our society, if we want to affect our culture, we've got to be there with it. We can't affect it if we're not with it. So as soon as we could, we decided we were going to move into the heart of Manchester. We found an area of the city which was very run down and needed redevelopment, so property, particularly warehouses, were very cheap. One of the things in our favour when we actually found and bought this place is that we didn't know what we were doing. If we had known, I wonder whether we would have actually taken it on at all. We didn't know how much it was going to cost. We didn't know how long it was going to take. We had no idea about the amount of work that was actually involved in converting a building that's 14,000 square feet of old disused warehouse. But fortunately, we'd got a very, very good group of people. We got a very good Sangha in Manchester who were ready to tackle such a project, and that's what really made it possible. What we found when we started was that the roof leaked in quite a few places. There was a lot of dry rot throughout the building, so there was a lot of wood to be replaced. Big window frames had to be taken out and changed. We searched for second-hand radiators, flooring, anything that we could get that would bring the cost of the job down. So we sandblasted all the walls, and there's a lot of walls, and there was a lot of sandblasting. There is a rumour going around that I said the project would be done in 3 months. Not true. Not true. It took nearly 2 years, and I said it would take nearly 6 months to do. I took on the project, not just selling the old place and buying this place, but actually the design. And it was a very interesting process because, I've not done anything like this before. The first question that I had to ask is, what is a Buddhist centre? Because we'd finally got the opportunity to actually develop a building that would represent what a Buddhist centre should be. We're bringing the Dharma into Manchester. So our Buddhist centre is a representation of the Dharma in Manchester. So our building has to show that. When people walk past, it's got to say something. It's got to stand out and say, we're different and we've got something important to say, something important to offer you. We wanted a building where people would walk past and stop and wonder, what is that? And they do. It's lovely watching people. It still happens. They just walk past and stop and they look at it.
For me personally, the dedication ceremony and the use of the dedication ceremony has quite a significance, in as much as it was this same ceremony that we used very nearly 30 years ago when we dedicated the FWBO's very first centre, which was of course in central London. And it was very, very much smaller than this and very, very much less beautiful. I think I'm probably not exaggerating if I say that that little centre of ours in that basement room in central London wasn't even 100th part of the size of the present day Manchester Centre, which goes to show how the FWBO has grown in the meantime, because as you know also, the Manchester Buddhist Centre is not the only FWBO centre in the world. So, yes. Even though it may be the biggest and best urban Buddhist centre in Europe.
Everything about this place will hopefully communicate the same message that people hear when they come for Dhamma classes. You know, the Dharma is communicating that our lives can be more beautiful, more refined, more poetic, more imaginative. Well, hopefully when people come into the building, when they see the building, they'll still pick up that message, they'll get that flavour. Hopefully the beauty of the building will communicate the beauty of the Dhamma. A Buddhist centre should be full of life, full of things happening. So we've actually got our businesses here, we've got Clear Vision here, we've got Lotus Realm, we've got Bodywise, a health centre here. We're going to have a restaurant in the basement. We've got a men's community on the top floor, and so on. So there's a lot of things happening, and I think that's quite important, that a Buddhist centre should be full of that kind of a life. So this is just the beginning. We've got our first building. It's stretched us beyond we could possibly have imagined, but we don't want to stop here. We've got one community living here. There are 3 other communities that want to live close by. So at the moment we're trying to buy another building adjoining this one for a big women's community, if all goes well. And then we're negotiating with a housing association to co-buy another building which will be turned into 2 men's communities. So that's probably the next step. Apart from that, we're hoping to set up an evolution shop which will help fund this project, get the restaurant going next year. And also out of this project, we've now got a building business which Priyavadita's running called Marpa Construction Company. The centre finally opened in July, and since then it's been a hive of activity. What a change from a building project into an active Buddhist centre. All our courses have been booked up into the future. So I think we can feel confident that the building is going to realise its goals of reaching a lot more people, attracting a lot more people in. We'd no idea whether that would work. It's just a matter of having the guts to believe that what we've got to communicate, i.e. Bante's vision of the Dhamma, is a message that a lot of people want to hear. If you believe that and if you set up the conditions, then people will come.